Om Stapakaya Chadhamasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Stapakaya Chadhamasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Avatar Varishtaya Ramakrishna Te Namah Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityormamritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God incarnate, to remove all our ignorance, to distinguish between what is real and what is not real, to conquer death, to realize our true self, our immortal nature, which gives us real peace and joy. We shall pray to Sri Ramakrishna so that we may achieve this goal in our life. Sri Ramakrishna has many times said that the life which you have got, use it for spiritual practices. Don't waste the life which is so precious, indulging in all sorts of various worldly ways, thereby distracting yourself from the truth, getting into more and more suffering and worries and tensions. So, incarnations come, holy saints and sages, they come out of their infinite compassion to show the ways to the suffering man. We suffer here in this life because of our wrong way of living the life. If our life is spiritually oriented, then even the suffering turns out to be good. You won't feel the bitterness of suffering. On the other hand, you feel more strengthened in our pursuit to reach the goal. Sri Ramakrishna has shown through his own life that how much it is very important to concentrate upon the practices. The life is meant for doing practices, not for anything else. Sri Ramakrishna visited Pandit Shashadhar, a great Pandit, a great scholar of that time, a very sincere and honest man. He loved to give discourses on many matters. Sri Ramakrishna came to him. You must know how fortunate Pandit Shashadhar was. In a way, the Pandit Shashadhar has attracted Sri Ramakrishna towards him. That means if a person is ready and qualified, God runs after him. Sri Ramakrishna came to him out of his infinite love. He was firmly convinced about the nature and character of the person. So he wanted to lead that great scholar in the spiritual path so that he may not distract himself anymore in just spending his time in talking about things and acting like a teacher without actually achieving anything in the spiritual life. So Sri Ramakrishna was very particular about that point. Have something, gain something, then talk about. Enough of your talk. Do you think your talks have any effect upon the people who hear you? Sri Ramakrishna makes this remark. It won't change the ways of the worldly people. Whatever you have told, it will not have any effect upon those people. So, Sri Ramakrishna is instructing him in a way to gain strength, become spiritually strong. You can become strong only through practicing spiritual disciplines a few days more. You have hardly set your foot on the tree, yet you expect to lay hold of a big cluster of fruit. Sri Ramakrishna is telling him. So, step up your spiritual practices. That is the very important teaching of Sri Ramakrishna. Practical spirituality. No more theorizing it. Live the life. Live the life. So, if your spiritual practices are to bear good results, you have to hold on to a mantra. It is a mystical formula, you can say. You must get it by the Guru. So, the spiritual teacher plays a very important role in the life of an aspirant. Of course, the aspirant must really yearn to go towards the truth. Without that earnestness, without that longing, how can you do spiritual practice? In the name of spiritual practices, you become more arrogant, more egoistic, more irritating. All the things that are stored up in your mind, they all come up in glowing colors and show up making all sorts of gestures. Every now and then you become irritated, you become upset, you become angry, you become restless. All these things are happening in the name of spiritual practice. It should not happen that way. If it happens, immediately you have to take steps not to be drowned in those things anymore. They may come, but you have to approach them with indifference. So, the Guru literally helps you in every manner to climb the steps towards the spiritual abode. He gives you the mantra. He asks you to do japam of that. He asks you to do prayers and meditation. He asks you to do them regularly and steadily. Only by constantly, consciously, sincerely doing these things, you gain spiritual strength. Without spiritual strength, spiritual life is not possible. So, the Guru also suggests you to chant some of the hymns and some of the spiritual texts. The other day, some young devotees had come. They were chanting Vishnu Sahasranam, the 1,000 names of Lord Vishnu. How nicely. And I saw that the girl who was chanting, her eyes were half closed when she was chanting. I just saw her many times in between. She never opened her eyes when she was chanting the mantra. Even the hymns are considered as mantra. In Sanskrit it is called mantra mala. Mantra mala. The hymns, the hymns are called mantra malas. They have tremendous power. Tremendous power is there in those hymns. They are all meant to bestow grace and blessings upon you. Of course, you can chant those hymns every day, or you can do them periodically or on special occasions. The Vedas prescribe so many ways of spiritual practices so that the aspirants can come closer to God. Every Veda has got 3 sections. One is Samhita, the other one is Brahman, the other one is Jnanakanda. The Samhita portion, the first section of every Veda, 4 Vedas are 4. Each Veda has got Samhita portion. This Samhita portion of the Vedas is called mantra. All the mantras they use in the rituals are taken from these mantras of the Vedas. That is from the Samhita portion of the Vedas. So how important it is to know the significance of the mantra. You have to firmly hold on to it. You will have tremendous result. Etymologically, mantra is defined as mananat trayate iti mantraha. Nicely defined. The meaning of this is that which saves one spiritually, if it is contemplated upon, that is mantra. Intimate and intense contemplation on the meaning and significance of the mantra and the deity represented by it, one will achieve the vision of God. Keeping in view the purpose for which the mantra is intended is called upasana. The mantra is given to the disciple so that by the power of that mantra he would be able to release from the bondage, get out of the prison house of the world and be free, enjoying the bliss of God. So upasana, it's a Sanskrit word, means upa means near, asana means sitting. Sitting near to the object of contemplation or meditation. That is upasana. Yadhyayati tat bhavati. Whatever you intensely contemplate or meditate upon, that you become. If you constantly meditate on Lord Shiva, you become Shiva himself. If you constantly meditate upon Rama, you become Rama himself. That means your whole personality becomes totally transformed. You become the powerhouse of spiritual strength. It is the psychological law. Chandogya Upanishad, one of the Upanishads of the Vedas, it says, Yadeva vidyaya karoti shraddhaya upanishada tadeva viryavattaram bhavati. Do it with faith. Doing japa, do it with firm faith. It is very real to you. Do it with firm conviction and knowledge. Understand its inner significance. Then you will acquire remarkable power which is needed for you to reach the abode of God. The Gita also says, Yo yat shraddha sa eva saha. As one's shraddha is, so he becomes. In regard to a mantra, a place of pilgrimage, a sage and a guru, one attains results according to one's attitude. Your attitude is important. With what attitude you are coming to the temple? With what attitude you are conducting yourself? With what attitude you are behaving, thinking, feeling, willing? Attitude is very, 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 very important. Maintain that wonderful spiritual attitude from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. You have to maintain that attitude. That means what? You have to be watchful. Watchful. So that your attitude is not destroyed. So in order to maintain that attitude, the spiritual instruction is always keep doing japa mentally. Doing japa mentally, that maintains your attitude. The mantra is your everything. You are doing everything for the sake of realizing the truth. Never forget the goal. So, japa of a mantra, it consists in the repetition with nishtha, means earnestness. You must do it with shraddha, tremendous faith, and vishwasa, firm conviction, keeping in mind its meaning and spiritual significance. Tad japaha tadartha bhavan. Tad japaha tadartha bhavanam. Patanjali Yoga Sutra says, always do japam of the mantra, at the same time be aware of the great meaning of the mantra. That mantra itself is God. God in the form of mantra. By constantly being in touch with it, you will be able to have the revelation, realize the truth, and become remarkably strong. So, how important man's life is. In fact, man's creation is remarkable, superior to all other creations, animals, plants, so many things are there. But man's creation, man's presence is supreme. Because he has got brain to think. If you don't think, it is your fault. heart to feel. If you don't feel, you are to blame. And conscience to will. In other words, if you develop this mind, the developed mind consists of thinking, feeling and willing, all for the sake of discovering truth, not to use them in all trash things of this world. He thinks to search for truth. He feels in search of beauty and wills for goodness and morality. These being inseparable and interdependent, one cannot stand without the others. So, man's search for truth is demonstrated by his development of science and philosophy, his search for beauty by the existence of art and literature, his search for goodness by his unselfish work for the benefit of others with an ethical and moral sensitivity. It is this ethical sense which enables man to think work is worship. While striving to comprehend the law that sustains the universe, man uses his intellectual reasoning. The root of all thinking doesn't, however, lie in mere reasoning, but in life itself. The highest range of mental life is an intuitive life, and the great scientific discoveries have been possible not merely due to the laborious processes of intellect, but due to the intuitive understanding of creative minds. So you must use all your resources towards reaching the goal. The goal of human's life is to see God, to enjoy real peace and bliss. Once you realize God, you will see the whole thing is joyful. Your whole outlook changes. You love everything, you enjoy everything. You dislike nothing, you hate nothing. That's the indication of your seeing God. You don't have to ask, have you seen God like that? You don't have to ask that question. If you see a person who loves everyone, he undertakes spiritual practices with all earnestness. Life is meant for your spiritual development. All your faculties must be cultivated properly so that you can have that spiritual strength. Only becoming spiritually strong, you will be able to cross the ocean of this world. In other words, you will be free from bondage. That means you will no more suffer. Suffering means nothing to you. All same. You will not be able to distinguish between suffering and otherwise. Everything looks same. Sukhadukke same kritva labha labho jayo jaya jayo. Lord Krishna says in the Gita, you get into a state of equanimity. You will not be disturbed by anything of this world. You enjoy yourself in yourself. That's the beauty of the spiritual truth. Page 467. Chaitanya Deva was an incarnation of God. How little is left of what he accomplished, not to speak of a lecturer who preaches without authority from God. What good will a lecturer do? Therefore I say to you, he is telling Pandit Shashadhar, dive deep in God consciousness. Saying this, the master began to sing in an ecstasy of love for God. Dive deep, O mind, dive deep in the ocean of God's beauty. If you descend to the uttermost depths, there you will find the gem of love. The master continued, one doesn't die if one sinks in this ocean. This is the ocean of immortality. Once I said to Narendra, God is the ocean of bliss. Tell me, if you want to plunge into it, just imagine there is some syrup in a cup and you have become a fly. Now tell me, where you will sit to sip the syrup? Narendra answered, I will sit on the edge of the cup and stretch out my neck to drink, because I am sure to die if I go far into the cup. Then I said to him, but my child, this is the ocean of Satchidananda. There is no fear of death in it. This is the ocean of immortality. Only ignorant people say that one should not have an excess of devotion and divine love. How foolish! Can there be an excess of divine love? To the Pandit. Therefore I say to you, dive into the ocean of Satchidananda. Nothing will ever worry you if you but realize God. Then you will get His commission to teach people. There are innumerable pathways leading to the ocean of immortality. The essential thing is to reach the ocean. It doesn't matter which path you follow. Imagine that there is a reservoir containing the elixir of immortality. You will be immortal if a few drops of the elixir somehow get into your mouth. You may get into the reservoir either by jumping into it, or by being pushed into it from behind, or by slowly walking down the steps. The effect is one and the same. You will become immortal by tasting a drop of that elixir. Innumerable are the ways that lead to God. There are the paths of jnana, of karma and bhakti. If you are sincere, you will attain God in the end. Whichever path you follow, roughly speaking, there are three kinds of yoga: jnana yoga, karma yoga and bhakti yoga. What is jnana yoga? The jnani seeks to realize Brahman. He discriminates saying, not this, not this. He discriminates saying Brahman is real and the universe illusory. He discriminates between the real and the unreal. As he comes to the end of discrimination, he goes into samadhi and attains the knowledge of Brahman. What is karma yoga? Its aim is to fix one's mind on God by means of work. That's what you are teaching. It consists of breath control, breathing exercises as prescribed in Raj Yoga, concentration, meditation and so on, done in a spirit of detachment. If a householder performs his duties in the world in a spirit of detachment, surrendering the results to God and with devotion to God in his heart, he too may be said to practice karma yoga. Further, if a person performs worship, japa and other forms of devotion, surrendering the results to God, he may be said to practice karma yoga. Attainment of God alone is the aim of karma yoga. What is bhakti yoga? It is to keep the mind on God by chanting His name and glories. For the Kali Yuga, the path of devotion is easiest. This is indeed the path for this age. The path of karma is very difficult. First of all, as I have just said, where will one find the time for it nowadays? Where is the time for a man to perform his duties as enjoined in the scriptures? Man's life is short in this age. Further, it is extremely difficult to perform one's duties in a spirit of detachment without craving the result. One cannot work in such a spirit without first having realized God. Attachment to the result somehow enters the mind, though you may not be aware of it. To follow the Jnana Yoga in this age is also very difficult. First, a man's life depends entirely on food. Second, he has a short span of life. Third, he can by no means get rid of body consciousness. And the knowledge of Brahman is impossible without the destruction of body consciousness. The Jnani says, I am Brahman, I am not the body. I am beyond hunger and thirst, disease and grief, birth and death, pleasure and pain. How can you be a Jnani if you are conscious of disease, grief, pain, pleasure and the like? A thorn enters your flesh, blood flows from the wound, and you suffer very badly from the pain. But nevertheless, if you are a Jnani, you must be able to say, why? There is no thorn in my flesh at all. Nothing is the matter with me. Therefore, Bhakti Yoga is prescribed for this age. By following this path, one comes to God more easily than by following the others. One can undoubtedly reach God by following the paths of Jnana and Karma, but they are very difficult paths. Bhakti Yoga is religion for this age, but that doesn't mean that the lover of God will reach one goal and the philosopher and worker another. It means that if a person seeks the knowledge of Brahman, he can attain it by following the path of Bhakti too. God who loves his devotee can give him the knowledge of Brahman if he so desires. But the Bhakta wants to realize the personal God endowed with form and talk to him. He seldom seeks the knowledge of Brahman, but God who does everything at his pleasure can make his devotee the heir to his infinite glories if it pleases him. He gives his devotee both the love of God and the knowledge of Brahman. If one is able somehow to reach Calcutta, one can see the Maidan and the museum and other places too. The thing is how to reach Calcutta. By realizing the Divine Mother of the universe, you will get knowledge as well as devotion. You will get both. In Bhava Samadhi you will see the form of God, and in Nirvikalpa Samadhi you will realize Brahman, the absolute existence, knowledge, bliss. In Nirvikalpa Samadhi ego, name and form do not exist. A lover of God prays to the Divine Mother, O Mother, I am very much afraid of selfish actions. Actions have desires behind them, and if I perform them, I shall have to reap their fruit. But it is very difficult to work in a detached spirit. I shall certainly forget thee, O Mother, if I involve myself in selfish actions. Therefore I have no use for them. May my actions, O Divine Mother, be pure every day till I attain thee. May I perform without attachment to the results only what action is absolutely necessary for me. May I have great love for thee as I go on with my few duties. May I not entangle myself in new work so long as I do not realize thee, but I shall perform it if I receive thy command, otherwise not. Pandit Shashidhar asked a question. How far did you go in visiting the sacred places? Master said, Oh, I visited a few places, with a smile, but Hazra went farther and also climbed higher. He visited Rishikesh, but I did not go so far, so high. You must have noticed kites and vultures soaring very high in the sky, but their eyes are always fixed on the charnel pits. Do you know the meaning of charnel pits? it is lust and gold. What's the use of making pilgrimage if you can attain love of God remaining where you are? I have been to Benares and noticed the same trees there as here, the same green tamarind leaves. Pilgrimage becomes futile if it doesn't enable you to attain love of God. Love of God is the one essential and necessary thing. Do you know the meaning of kites and vultures? There are many people who talk big and who say that they have performed most of the duties enjoined in the scriptures. But with all that, their minds are engrossed in worldliness and deeply preoccupied with money, riches, name, fame, creature comforts and such things. Let us stop here. So you must acquire spiritual strength to fight the worldly ways. Without strength, how can you fight? You will collapse. Acquire the spiritual strength. Don't give attention to anything else. In order to become a good wrestler, first you will go to gymnastics and spends most of his valuable time in just building up his body. When he becomes sufficiently strong and confident, then only he goes and fights with the others. Then only he became a good wrestler. But how did he become good wrestler? By cultivating, by going to gymnastics every day regularly and giving all his attention to the practice, to the building up the body. What all the things required he performs, then he becomes a good wrestler. In the same way, if you have to fight these worldly things or worldly distractions, you have to become spiritually strong. That's what Sri Ramakrishna said. Without acquiring spiritual strength, don't pose yourself as a great teacher and go on lecturing here and there. Who cares for your lectures? Who cares for your talks? They just don't affect the people at all. So, but it's all right. You have tasted the beauty of spiritual knowledge. That's wonderful. But go further. Go further. Go forward. Don't stop at that. Don't get distracted yourself in other activities. You need to become strong. You need spiritual strength. Acquire it. Engage yourself in spiritual practices. Pandit Shashidhar was awakened in a way. His life became blessed by the grace of Sri Ramakrishna. So we should all acquire spiritual strength. We will try honestly. Then God Himself will come. Just as Sri Ramakrishna went to Pandit Shashidhar, he did not know Sri Ramakrishna. But Sri Ramakrishna went to him. That is the way. The mother comes to the child, even though the child is sitting somewhere. I want to see my child, where it is. It comes. The attraction of the child is so intense, mother cannot tolerate anymore. She simply runs to see the child. In the same way, if you develop your spiritual qualities, if you become spiritually good recipient, then God runs to you. That means God's power will be your power. Your power is nothing but God's power. You feel that. Any questions? Not changing the attitude. No. First of all, you must decide yourself. You must be convinced about your goal. Then you must fix your attitude in order to achieve the goal. Then all your activities thinking, feeling, willing, everything must be preceded by your spiritual attitude, which is very important for your spiritual aspirations. Otherwise, they remain a dream. Simply you may be talking. Many people talk about God. Now what I mean to say by attitude is that every step what you are doing, you have to be aware of your aspiration and the purpose for which you are doing the things. So the purpose and significance of your activities is to realize the truth. And the mantra which you have received by the Guru is for that purpose, to make you spiritually strong and to take you towards a goal. So that should be always borne in mind when you are conducting your activities wherever you are. If you lose faith or devotion about the pursuit of the spiritual truth, then naturally the mind which is waiting for the opportunity to run away from you immediately drags you towards its own ways, and it becomes more difficult for you to bring it back and put it on the right track. So right attitude you can maintain by associating yourself with the spiritual ideas more vigorously, and more you must be attentive. Whatever you do, you must always feel that I am doing all these things only for the sake of God, only for His sake, only for the sake of truth, only for the sake of realizing the reality. So that way you can fix your attitude, and that can take you in a proper way. If that is not there, then you may succumb to all types of weaknesses which are very common in the world. You may be acting on account of your impulses. Sometimes you become angry and you do certain actions. You don't, even for a moment you think, oh, I am living a spiritual life, why not do something to control this anger? No. Immediately you rush to do some things because you feel hurt, because your ego is more important than your spiritual aspiration. So like that, so many things happen in our life. If you are watchful and attentive, immediately you can correct it, put the attitude in a proper way, try to see the things in the right spirit, then it becomes easy. All this is possible only by giving training to the mind, training of mind, cultivation of spiritual qualities. It's a constant practice. No doubt, it takes lifetime. Let it take. Let it take. Everything requires time. True. Even the wrestler has to spend 25 years to make his body really strong. So what to speak of spiritual things? One has to struggle very hard to uproot the bad samskaras from the mind, to make the mind strong super strong, it requires time, no doubt. Bhagirath's son. No, not, no. Bhagiratha, he brought Ganga from the heavens in order to liberate his cousins who were killed by the anger of the sage, the Kapila Muni, who was sitting in meditation. A great saint who was meditating upon. No, the point is this. You must know those people who are digging the earth and doing all sorts of things, they were too rash, and they were becoming as a kind of destructive force. Too much of arrogance was there in those people. So those arrogance, they have to be taken care of properly. No doubt from this sage point of view, he didn't say anything, he just looked at them, they were all burnt to ashes. But it is true he has lost the power. That means he has to again struggle and get the power again. Then he comes under law and effect, cause and effect. If he uses in the worldly way, then you are dragged into the worldly law. That means follow the law and cause and effect. If you want to step into spiritual way, even though there is provocation, you should not become angry. That is for the realization of the self. And sometimes the rishis, their duty is to see the order properly maintained in the society. So in order to do that, they have to show some anger, in order to set right things. Because the duty of the rishis is not simply meditating and getting liberation themselves and going away. No. Some sages are like that. Some sages, they are meant for that. They don't want anything, they want to just be satisfied with their realization, with their liberation. But some saints, they want to help the humanity. So, whatever may be your purpose, power is like a fuel. Power is just like a fuel. Fuel, gas. Whether you go to the temple or whether you go to bar, car consumes the gas. It doesn't mean when you go to a temple the fuel should not be used, and if you go to bar the fuel will be used. No. In either case the fuel will be used. That's all. In what way it is used, that's important. Yeah. Any question? Anything to ask? Alright, we shall conclude. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust, raging furiously within. O name stream down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its curve to knowledge of thyself. O self, drowned deep in the waves of His bliss, tasting His nectar at every step, bathing in His name, that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who finds in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass, be patient and forbearing like a tree, take no honor to thyself, give honor to all, chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the toys of fame. As many times as they may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for Thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is Thy servant, O sweet one. In Thy mercy consider him as dust beneath Thy feet. Ah, how I long for the day when an instant separation from Thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without Thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at Thy feet let me be an unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of Thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of Thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O Thou who stillest the hearts of Thy devotees, do with me what Thou wilt, For thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers. May all realize what is good. May all be actuated by noble thoughts. May all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy. May all be free from disease. May all realize what is good. May none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous. May the virtuous attain tranquility. May the tranquil be free from bonds. May the freed make others free. May good betide all people. May the sovereign righteously rule the earth. May all beings ever attain what is good. May the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time. May the earth be blessed with crops. May all countries be free from calamity. May holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied. For he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.